Alright, so I've only had a full-time job for about half a year now, but it's already changed my life a lot. And I've found that a job is like a dog. You think that getting one will make your life better, but it just turns out to be a whole lot of extra work. However, I've also found that girls do like me more because I have one. Anyways, I did not see these changes coming, so I wanted to run them by you and make sure everything checks out. Because I don't know, it's nice to have, but is it really supposed to require that much time and attention? Number 1, people ask me for advice now. It is true. I know if you know me that sounds ridiculous, but people really come to me for advice now. To me it's similar to one day getting superpowers. You know, you get bit by a spider and then suddenly you have some special ability. Except this makes sense, I guess. But yeah, before I had a job, no one asked me for any advice. But then like the week I got a job, like 3 people reached out to me and asked for advice on getting a job. At a fundamental level, nothing really about me had changed. Like from one week to the next, I was pretty much the same guy. Except I now had a job, which showed that I was capable of doing that. And so anyone that was in my position, you know, just the week prior looking for a job, they saw that, oh, he was able to do it. Let me ask him how he did it. But like I said, from a Gauruv level, you know, nothing really changed. But once I showed that I was qualified, people were like, well, now he's credible. Now I can ask him stuff. Yeah, instead of one day waking up and finding out I can climb walls and I'm super strong, one day I woke up and found out that someone will pay me to use a computer. And other people wanted to know how they could do the same. And I think I gave people confidence, you know, because they were like, well, if he can do it, I can do it. Number 2. Your life purpose comes into question frequently now, because now I have time and money. You see, growing up, you don't have any money, and all your time is taken up by school, or after school it's taken up by sports or clubs, extracurriculars. But the time is never really yours. So growing up, you really don't have your own time or money. But when you get a job, you now have your own time and money. Any time outside of your job is your time, and the job gives you your money. The 2 most valuable things in life, time and money, you now have. You are now in an exceedingly rare position. You don't have to worry about where am I going to get my money, and now you have all this extra time. When you're growing up, all of your time is dedicated towards getting a job so that you can get money. And once you get the job that gives you that money, you don't have to spend all that time you're using to get that job to get the job, because you got the job. And so now you have it all, you know? But what does that mean? Well, now it means your basic needs are met. So now you gotta decide, well, what do I want out of life? And this is a question I have been met with more often than ever in these past 6 months. Ever since I started working full-time, I have never had so many existential crises. Because when I was going to school, that was my life's purpose. Going to school, getting an education so I can become smart enough to get to the good school, to get the degree, to get the job. Well, now I've got the job, and the job gives me money. So what am I focused on? You get to decide, well, what do I want out of life? Which is an incredibly liberating thought, but once you have it, it is terrifying. Because when you're a kid, you get to use excuses. You get to be like, well, I'm going to school. That's my life's purpose. But when you're an adult, now you have to define your own life's purpose. And I don't think it's a one-time, like, solid lock-in answer. I think it's an everlasting day-to-day thing. You gotta figure out and ask yourself, what do I want out of this life I've been given? And so yeah, now every day, am asking myself, well, what do I want out of life? I mean, I guess it's true what they say, right? More money, more problems. First world problems. Yeah. Number 3, going places is important. When you're working full-time, there's not much of a change of scenery from day to day. So you got to do that on your own. And so when I say going places, that can be as small as a walk during the day, or, you know, taking a flight on the weekend and going to this cool place you want to see. And also being comfortable with taking time off. I've been at my job for almost 9 months now, and I've only taken 3 days off, I think. Which is not good. I should be better about that. I'll admit, I am bad at taking time off. It is a skill. It's something you have to practice. It doesn't come easily. I know in theory, on paper, it should be easy to be like, I'm not going to work, but it's difficult. But for your own mental sanity, you gotta, you know, change it up a little bit. And believe it or not, going places does actually help you with your job, which again, on paper, doesn't make sense, right? The more time I'm away from my job, that makes me better at my job. Yeah, it's ludicrous. But it's not, because you can get burnt out if you like work all the time. So I guess, you know, in summary, what I've learned from working full time is don't work as much. Also, taking time off is not enough. You can't just take a day off and stay home. You gotta take a day off and go somewhere. Because until you leave that space physically, mentally you will not leave it. That's why if you can afford to, it's good to have like a workspace and then a relaxation space, you know? That's that whole thing behind why they say don't study in bed, right? Because bed should be for shutting down, but studying should be for engaging your mind, you know, absorbing everything. And so if you mix those, your brain's gonna cross the wires and not know what to do where. So go somewhere, okay? And then come back to the place you do work and do work. Number 4, I have money now. So people tell me what I have to buy. Yeah, over the past few months, people give me advice on what I should buy. The top things have been socks, pillows, and mattresses, which is really funny to me because they're all things that make life more comfortable. But it makes sense, you know, money should afford you comfort. But it is funny that everyone I talk to says those 3 things. Number 5, people ask what I do for work, and I have a line I tell them. You know how in college there's the same standard icebreakers, like what's your major, where do you live, where are you from, what year are you? Well, those exist for adults too. They're the same but slightly different. It's like how old are you, where do you live, and what do you do for work? It's true, okay? I'm sorry, humans are predictable. That's why one day AI is gonna take over. But this predictability allows you to be ready. And so I'm ready when people ask me what do I do for work? And the line I use is, I work with customers to enable Intel's technology. That's what I tell everyone. Sure, it is vague, but less is more. So yeah, you can figure what people are gonna ask you, so just, you know, have some responses ready. And then you can dress them up, you know? Like for example, this one, I work with customers to enable Intel's technology. You can add a little line at the end, be like, I know, who would have thought they want this in front of customers? Haha, you know, something self-deprecating. But when you first meet other adults, it's very easy to tell what they're going to ask. So just make sure you have responses ready for them, because it's not in the job contract, but that's part of it now, okay? People want to know what you do, and you got to tell them. Number 6, I noticed slightly more code switching from myself. It is true. I am fake. I'm as fake as they get. No, I think we're all fake, you know? But the version of you at work is not like a fake version of you. It's you. It's just the more professional version of you. That doesn't mean it's fake, it's just different. The way you talk to your friends should probably not be how you talk at work. I mean, if it is, cool. That's cool. I mean, it's great. Yeah. As long as HR doesn't get involved, you're good. But I have noticed with myself, ever since I started working full time, I do a lot of code switching, you know, depending on who you're talking to. And that's not a bad thing. It's just the nature of the job. You know, if you're talking to a customer, that's going to be different than how you talk to someone on your team, versus how do you talk to your parents, versus how do you talk to your friends, versus how do you talk to your dog. You know, it's all slightly different. You can't go to a customer and be like, ooh, who's a good boy? Who's a good boy? I mean, some of them might like that, but I wouldn't test it, you know? Number 7, things cost money. I mean, they always did, but you know, every little purchase feels like a punch to the gut. Like I start thinking about things based on hours worked. Like I'll fill gas and I'll be like, well, that was half a work day right there. And gas always costed money. But you really feel it now, you know? Number 8, things that are happening in my industry are not always known to people outside of my industry. So in the tech industry, if there's like layoffs or big technological advancements, I'm aware of all of those. But then when I talk to a friend outside of the tech industry, they have no idea any of this stuff is going on. And so it's interesting because something that seems like such a big deal to you because it's your day-to-day doesn't even register on the radar of someone outside of your industry. And so it's very easy to get caught up in living in kind of a bubble because you start thinking, well, because it's a big deal to me, it's a big deal to everyone. And most of the time, it's not. Number 9, I don't tip as much when it's just like an iPad that I placed an order in. I mean, I know a person is preparing my food, but you know, this is kind of like point number 7 where it's like things cost money. Ever since I started working full time, I've become just a terrible tipper. Yeah, you know about the big tipper, right? No, I'm the little tipper, for sure. I've developed such a complex when it comes to tips. You know, they'll turn that little iPad around and it has all the options that for some reason start at 18% now, but I've started hyper analyzing. You know, I'm like, well, you know, who does a tip go to? And what did they do to make the thing, you know? Is it really that hard to add boba to milk tea and then put it in the machine, you know? And then you try to give yourself like an altruistic out and be like, well, I could use this money to give to this charity. I'm not going to, but I could, you know? Should the money be invested here when it could be here? Again, I'm not going to give it there, but you know? So yeah, I'll admit it. I don't tip as well ever since I started working full time. Sure, you can call me cheap, but I like the term frugal or money conscious. The optics are better. Number 10, I stare at screens my entire conscious life. Yeah, this is bad, but I've realized I stare at screens my entire life. I wake up and immediately turn the alarm off on my phone, and then I go to social media, and then I peruse that when I'm using the bathroom in the morning, and then I find a YouTube video to put on when I brush my teeth, and then I keep watching YouTube while I go prepare breakfast, and then I go to work, where I stare at a screen for 8 hours, and then I get off work, and then I eat dinner, where I again watch a YouTube video the whole time I'm preparing food and eating food, and then in the evening I stare at a screen all night while I edit, and then when I finish editing I go straight to my phone and start watching YouTube videos again, where I go to the bathroom, brush my teeth again while a YouTube video is playing, and continue watching that video until my head hits the pillow and I am done for the day. From the moment my head leaves that pillow to the time it hits that pillow, I am looking at a screen. The only time I don't look at a screen is when I shower, which is terrible. It's funny, for the past few years I've had internships, and every time I go to the eye doctor, he asks me, oh, what do you do? And I'm like, I'm an engineer. And he's like, oh, so a lot of screen time, huh? I'm like, yeah. He's like, that's not good. I was like, I know. And he goes, yeah. And then we move on. It's an unspoken thing now that he's like, there's nothing you can do, right? Because that's your job. And I'm like, mm-hmm. And then we just move on. But I know, we both know. We both know I'm treating my eyes like shit. So now I have to make a conscious effort. Like every couple hours, I got to get up and stare off in the distance and focus on something. Maybe don't go on my phone as much. Go take walks, unplug myself. Because at this point in my life, my phone has essentially become my glasses. It's something my eyes look at only when I'm not sleeping or showering. It is a problem, I have acknowledged it, and I'm actively working on fixing it. And number 11, I care about what I wear. If you watched my video, 11 Ways My Life Has Changed Since I Graduated College, this was also one of my points in that video. And my point in that video was that fashion is fun. I enjoy the world of fashion. But my point in this video in bringing up that I now care about what I wear is a little different. You see, what I found now is everything in life is like an interview. Now, I don't know if this is true, and I don't think people do this on a conscious level, but subconsciously, I think there's slight truth to what I'm about to say. I think that everyone in life is trying to gauge value in others because we only have so much social bandwidth and we want to spend it wisely. Let's do the math. 24 times 7, that's 168. Minus the 40-hour work week, you're now at 128. Let's say you're healthy, you sleep 8 hours a day, that's 8 times 7, 56. Minus 56, you are now at 72 hours a week. You have 72 hours of your time in a week. And like I said before, you get to choose how you spend it. On a subconscious level, I think we know that we have this amount of time, 72 hours, and we have to now think about, do I want to spend any of this limited finite amount of time with this person? And there's only so much to go off of, but one very apparent thing is the way someone is dressed. I know, they say never judge a book by its cover, but they also say don't jaywalk. People do that shit all the time. So I have found that now I care about what I wear everywhere. When I hang out with friends, when I go to work, when I just go to the grocery store alone, I think about what I wear. Because now everything in life feels like an interview. It feels like wherever I go, people are wondering, should I invest my time in this person? And if I'm dressed a certain way, that could maybe become a yes or a no. Now, this is very surface level. If someone's going to choose whether or not they engage with you just based off of your fashion, maybe you don't want to be around that person. But you also have to think about how other humans think. You are more drawn to fashionable people. And so if you want to draw people in, maybe you care about fashion a little more. And this actually works perfectly if you want to repel people. If you're going to a party and you don't want anyone to talk to you, wear something weird. Not weird that it's a conversation starter, but weird that it's a deterrent. Like myself, for an example, if I was going to a party where I didn't want anyone to talk to me, I'd probably wear short shorts and a denim vest. And whether or not people would consciously realize it or not, I don't think a lot of people at that party would elect to engage with me, purely based off of what I'm wearing. So yeah, I care about what I wear now because everything in life feels like an interview. Basically now I dress like I'm always about to have a meet cute. So yeah, life has changed a lot since I started working full-time, and I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing, but I just wanted to tell you that it has. And it's weird, even though a lot of things in my life have changed, my sub count hasn't really changed at all. So yeah, make sure you like this video, subscribe if you haven't already, follow me on Instagram, and remember, going places is important, and your kitchen doesn't count.